our friend Mark has some educational information to share.
Yeah, there was a recent poll that happened in the UK where they polled potential customers of new vehicles. They went out to a study group of 9,000 people, and they found that the average consumer rating about what people knew about low emission vehicles was typically a 2.7 out of 5 in the category of knowledge. Although the same group of people put themselves at about a 3.8 out of 5 about petroleum vehicles. So they took those numbers, and then what they did is they started to ask that the same group do a little research over some time and familiarize themselves with low emission vehicles, which would include hybrids and of course plug-ins and complete BEVs. And they found that after some research, shockingly enough, is that people retain some of that knowledge. And they went up on the scale that the 2.7 increased, by a percentage point after about 4 weeks of looking at different articles and information about alternative fueled vehicles. And really what the whole point of the study is that people just don't know they exist. Like they even though there's many of them in the UK, they're not realizing that the option is out there. There's no research done on it. People are just blindly going to dealerships and lining up and buying the same vehicles that they've been buying for years. And it's only the people that have done the research that it becomes an option for them, that they can move into a different type of vehicle because they're comfortable in the information that they've retained over some time. But they find that that's not happening. And it's just not. And I'm kind of surprised because the UK and Europe seems to be a little bit ahead of North America when it comes to knowledge on the plugins. And it just seems that they have some hurdles to still overcome, at least in the UK, with these 9,000 people.
Well, and it comes back to the salespeople at the car dealers.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was surprised by how low their understanding of the gas cars that we've been buying for 100 years was.
Right.
I mean, yeah, their electric car knowledge was low, but their gas car knowledge was not that much better.
You would think they'd be at least in the fours.
Right, right. It's like, we know they exist. We don't know they exist.
Yeah.
That's it?
Maybe it's a bicycle culture.
Maybe.
Yeah, we do need to know the level of the questions. I mean, there are some things like,
can you change your catalytic converter?
Right. Yeah. Could you do this? Or, explain to me how pressing the pedal makes your gas car go faster.
Right.
Most people would say
it's magical.
Yeah. But EVs are so much simpler. You would think that it would just be easier for people to learn how they work.
It may be easier for them to learn, but I think the problem is they're not opening their minds to it in the first place because, as Paul mentioned, you go into a dealership and they're just kind of pushing you into the same shoehorn you've always been pushed towards, which is a gas vehicle.
Yeah.
But hopefully education is the key here. I don't know how besides test drives and being exposed to it through public events and such, it's tough. Although one of the things that some have talked about that is a bit of a transition is when you go to another city and you have an EV as a taxi cab.
Yeah.
You get to drive in it. Someone's experienced. They can tell you all about it. And that seems to push people's education quite quickly. Besides ride and drives, is EVs that are turning taxi fleets into strictly EVs is a big plus for the EV movement.
A lot of it is. I look back to this, unlike my experience with Prius and being an early Prius owner, not super early, but I mean earlier than most, and. People didn't get what was going on with hybrids until pretty much everybody knew somebody that drove one.
Yeah.
It was that tipping point. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this isn't scary. This isn't weird technology. These aren't golf carts.
Yeah.
These are cars. And it's we're still a ways away from that. but that is super important, and you can relate that to a lot of things. People need to have some direct contact with what's going on before they're
me too, Evan.
with it.
Yeah.
I would be very interested if What Car, and of course What Car is a UK thing, they wouldn't do it here, but if somebody did something similar here, what the American response would be. I suspect it wouldn't be any better.
Would you think it would be much worse?
It could be, yeah.